Hailsa, Namaste, and blessed be everybody. I'm here today to start a new series. It's going to be about philosophy through the eyes of a pagan. We're going to look at a bunch of different philosophers. Today we're just really looking at the basic beginning part of it. I'm going to be using this book, Visual Reference Guides, Philosophy by Stephen Law, and a little bit about his background. Hopefully I didn't just make that too loud. Stephen Law studied philosophy at Oxford, where he was a research fellow. He is currently a lecturer in philosophy at Haythorpe College in University of London. Law is the author of several books on philosophy. He is also the editor of Think, the Royal Institute of Philosophy's popular new magazine, or new journal. So that's kind of neat. What we're going to be going through today, and what I'm going to be explaining about, is we're going to be starting at the who's who of philosophy, and we're going to go through all of those. That's really what this series is about. I might be dialing it back and just doing one video a week, because these things are going to take a little bit more. I am going to be basically reading from the book for each person, and then critiquing that part after that, or whatever I was reading. So I'll read about one philosopher, and then I'll critique it. Maybe I'll even critique it while I'm going through it as well. But it's going to be through the eyes of a pagan, and talking about what I may agree with. You'll learn something about the philosopher, and you'll learn something about possibly its counter arguments, which I plan on doing with each one, and saying things that I agree or disagree with. It'll be great. There's a lot of philosophers. It's over 100 pages, when each page is basically a philosopher at a time. I will be using his words, and it's what I'm going to start out doing here today, because I'm not going to actually go through any of them. However, the first one that we're going to end up doing is Siddhartha Gautama, and that's going to be on my next video, which I don't know exactly when this one's going to go up, but it's going to be the next video. So just to start out with what Law says is, in this final chapter we have gathered together more than 100 of the most significant philosophers to have left their thoughts and theories to posterity, from the thinkers of Miletus in ancient Greece some 2,500 years ago right up to the present day. Philosophy comprises a cumulative and evolving body of ideas, and speculations of individual thinkers do not stand alone, but rather develop in dialogue with tradition. For this reason, while an isolated description of an individual's life and works can provide a useful impression of a particular thinker, a more rounded portrait is to be gained by exploring the references to related thinkers and topics in this book, and of course, their own essential works. Included in this chapter are those thinkers whose ideas have made the most notable impact on the course of philosophy, presenting them in chronological order by year of birth, which we will be doing as well, because we're going to go through it at the same time, particularly when compared with the timelines of key events in Chapter 2, which you don't need to worry about, reveals links with social, cultural, and political history while tracing the development of ideas across the centuries. Where dates are uncertain, blah, 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 we don't have to worry about that part. A striking feature of any history of philosophy is the remarkable diversity of interests, aims, and approaches, and how different thinkers have very different notions of what it is that they are doing as philosophers. Philosophy's own conception of its proper domain is continually changing. Each generation sees the emergence of new issues of concern, and fields of inquiry considered in the past to be the provenance of philosophers have developed into independent sciences such as physics, biology, and psychology. Moreover, questions that appeared of the utmost importance to one generation may well be ignored by the next, only to be revived again centuries later. Despite all this, these thinkers form part of a common enterprise. Their work represents an ongoing critical engagement with questions that are both novel and perennial. So as you can see, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. Like he mentioned, there's going to be over 100 philosophers, and this is going to be coming from all over parts of the world. Actually, if I go right on the back here, it says the greatest thinkers discover who's who in philosophy, from Aristotle to Zeno, and their contributions to how we think today. as well as East Meets West, explore the history of Western thought as well as traditions of Eastern philosophy. The first person we're going to be doing it on is Siddhartha Gautama, who is the Buddha who started Buddhism. We'll look at their thoughts and their upbringings and who they were. So it'll be a little bit history, it'll be a little bit philosophy, and then I'll be putting my input in it as well on what I'm thinking for each one of those pieces, and creating counter arguments or agreeing and comparing and contrasting. So I hope you guys enjoy, but this is just the entry point to what we're doing, because I think that this is going to be going out on a Wednesday, and I plan on making my one-a-week videos scheduled for Sundays. So I figured Wednesday would be a good way to start out saying, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing going forward, is doing the one video a week on Sundays, and we're going to be going through this series of who's who in philosophy, as well as comparing, contrasting, and giving counter examples wherever are applicable. Okay? All right, you guys have a good one. I'll see you then.